On to Chapter 3, Strategic Management and Policy Development. The keys to strategic management link the macro approach to what an individual manager does. It allows managerial activities to be more successful in defining and setting policy, and it further understands an organization's governance and effectiveness. So our strategy is plans and actions for achieving a goal efficiently and effectively. It helps paint a picture of where the organization is headed, and tactics are the specific steps that we take for implementing a strategy. So defining strategic management involves decisions and action plans evolving from the organization's mission, considers both internal and external environments. We talked about that last chapter, internal being within our organization, external those on the outside. It involves short and long-term objectives with the 3-year difference. Under 3 years is short-term, over 3 years is long-term. It requires strategic choices in the budget resource allocation. There's only so much money to go around. We have to evaluate what strategic plans we have and what we really want to spend the money on. So there's 3 different levels of strategy. There's corporate level, which is general overall strategic planning for the entire organization and all its business. Business level, specific individualized strategic planning for individual products or services. Functional level strategy, specific individualized strategic planning concepts implemented by personnel. So what's your point of view? Consider the statement, timing is everything in strategic decision making. Is this true, do you think? Why or why not? What factors might apply when determining the best time to make a decision? The 5 P's of strategy: planning, purpose, ploy, position, and perspective. Executing the strategic management plan, you want to define the vision or purpose. We talked about vision last chapter. Convert the vision to measurable objectives. It makes it much easier to evaluate. Define a plan to achieve the goal. Implement the plan. Measure the results and revise the plan accordingly. Some common strategic decisions in sport organizations: developing partnerships with sponsors or other organizations, long-term planning, establishing an educational brand, or shifting programming dramatically. Steps in strategic decision making: you want to define the problem, list all possible alternatives, assess the pros and cons, consider the global and long-term impacts of various alternatives, and select the best course of action. The importance of strategy in sport management: we want to be able to plan effectively, to capitalize on opportunities, to make effective decisions, to enhance the manager's entrepreneurial role. Policy: all organizations deal with various difficult situations. The answer may not be immediately clear, and the consequences could be far-reaching. Policies are needed to deal with these issues and situations. We have finance, human resource, facility use and control, equipment, travel, public relations, promotion, and other items that are related to managing risk. So what is a policy? It's broad guidelines or procedures to meet organizational objectives. It's a general written statements that provide a framework for decision making and a common direction for all parts of the organization. It's different from objective strategies or procedures or philosophy. So here's an example of a policy. It is expected that athletes will travel to and from athletic contests with their teammates on carriers provided by the college. In the event an athlete wishes to make alternative travel plans, he or she must obtain the form Permission for Alternative Travel Plans, Varsity Athletes, from the athletic office. This form requests information regarding the intended mode of transportation and a rationale for the request. Permission may be granted on a case-by-case basis only when the form is signed off on by both the head coach and the athletic director. Permission requests must be made 48 hours prior to travel. Why would we need a policy like this? Well, in case of an accident, you need to know what athletes might be affected. For example, I'm sure a lot of you have seen We Are Marshall, which is about a 1970s plane crash that killed most of the football team. Not all the football players were on the transport, so they need to know who was and who wasn't, unfortunately, to notify next of kin. That's an extreme example. Doesn't happen very often, thank God, but it does make the necessity of a plan like this very important. Okay, so your point of view. Does the previous policy example seem effective? Does it solve the short-term problems in your opinion? What about possible long-term problems? The importance of having good policies, rapid growth and an increase in complexity and business orientation of sport organizations, the trend towards decentralized decision making, decentralized meaning not made by the main office, made by the individual teams, the need for fair, equitable, and consistent decision making. Can you think of other reasons for having good policies? I'm sure there's lots of them. Developing policy, a framework for decision making relative to issues encountered, for recurring issues or problems. It's usually directed toward guiding decision making around the critical organizational resources. Active living documents that can grow and change with the organization. Just because think of the Constitution. There's been amendments to the Constitution because things have changed since from 1776. So we needs to be a living document and be able to be amended in order to reflect today's society. Case method for analysis steps for developing policy. Define the issue and the facts, the scope of the problem, what's its impact for the organization. Then we want to collect and assess information on both sides of the issue. We have to be objective and listen to both sides. Evaluate the potential impact of each option and then choose the favored option and specifically define the action. Macro and micro levels of management interaction. Managerial interaction is dynamic operation, means it's changing, in which information flows both ways in response to changes that occur within the organizational environment. Okay, on to chapter 4.